welcome to the CNBC TV 18 special. We're at the Olympics at Paris 2024 on the bench with India's Olympian Abhinav Bindra. Abhinav, many thanks for joining us here on CNBC TV 18. You know, you've been here for what, close to a month now?
I'm almost a Parisian.
You're almost a Parisian. Can you speak French yet?
Bonjour.
Bonjour to you too. But what has it been like for you? I mean, you ran with the torch as well. What's the experience been like for you as a participant and an observer?
Well, I've been part of, my role here is being part of the IOC's Athletes Commission, and just being part of the Games has been pretty spectacular. I think the Games have been a massive, massive success. I've been to a few events. The enthusiasm in every field of play that I visited has been amazing. And just the visual spectacle that we are witnessing, these are images for posterity. The beach volleyball at the Eiffel Tower, the images of the Olympic flame.
Yeah.
It's just been spectacular. I went to fencing at the Grand Palais. It was the most incredible event that I've attended. And I think really the beach volleyball venue is probably the most amazing sports venue on the planet at the moment.
You know, since you're talking about the highlights of Paris 2024, in many ways, the Paris Olympics have been an experiment for the IOC as well as for the Olympic Games to try and see how the Games can be more sustainable. They don't end up being white elephants for the host country as well. There has been some backlash on some of the measures, but on balance, how would you rate what we've seen?
Well, this is the start of a new era, and these are different games, sort of games that we've never witnessed before. So obviously it's a change, and there'll always be comparisons, but I think all the initiatives have been extremely successful. I think Paris 2024, the organizing committee, has just invested in one new facility, and everything else has been already existing infrastructure or temporary facilities. And
people don't understand how unusual that is for the Olympics, right?
But I think the most amazing thing has been the urbanization of sport, how sport has come to the people, how sport has come into the urban landscape, and that has been spectacular to watch. If you go and see the Concorde project, where we've seen 3x3 basketball, skateboarding, BMX, breaking, it's just the most amazing atmosphere that you'll find. And for me, just being part of the Games, these are my first Games not as a competitor.
Yeah.
I wasn't able to make it to Tokyo because I was down with COVID. But it's just been incredible to watch. I have to say that they've been more tiring for me than I was an athlete.
Watching and observing as opposed to participating.
And running from one post to the other, and one place to the other, I need a break after this one.
You need a holiday after this one. But, and that's what I want to go back to, Abhinav, from the times that you were competing at the Olympics yourself, to winning the gold, to now watching this as an observer, sort of taking in the atmosphere, taking in all of the energy, but not having to feel the pressure that you feel when you're competing. I mean, what has that been like for you?
Well, it's been a little bit different. I mean, sometimes being a spectator is always also difficult. I was at shooting my event, the Air Rifle competition. I was watching the Air Rifle men's final with President Bach, and our boy finished fourth, and I think I was close to a heart attack. And I was supposed to tell President Bach the rules of what was happening, and I don't even know what I was telling him, primarily because I was so nervous as a spectator. But it's been very interesting. But what I really...
Manu Bhaker,
yes, I mean, she's been incredible, but just before we get to her, it's also been able to appreciate how the Olympics is such a unique event. It is the only event left on this planet Earth where the world comes together. And just seeing 206 countries come together, just seeing the atmosphere in the city, having the opportunity to visit the Olympic Village, which is probably the most unique place on Earth at the moment. 206 different countries and an Olympic refugee team all living together, but fighting it out in very tough competition on the field of play. But coming back, living peacefully with values of friendship and unity, And that sends a very, very, very inspiring message to the world.
Yeah, I'll get to the Olympic values that you just spoke of and what you're doing to take the Olympic values forward in India. But let's talk about India here at Paris 2024. And let's start with Manu Bhaker and what a spectacular run she's had.
Yes, absolutely amazing. I mean, to go back home with 2 bronze medals and a 4th place finish, it's been an incredible, incredible achievement for her. I'm so inspired and simply proud of her. I mean, from how she finished in Tokyo, to show the resilience, to show the character that she's displayed, to keep at it, to not give up, is an inspiring story for generations of Indians to come.
But equally inspiring, the story of Jaspal Rana, and a man you know very well.
Yes, Jaspal and I go back a long
Yes.
way. He and I were teammates, for me, he's a wonderful coach. He may be a tough coach, but sometimes you need a tough coach. In my career, I too had tough coaches who I sometimes didn't get along with, but just found a way to work with. But he's worked very well for Manu, and just want to send my congratulations to him for all the work that he's put in and for all what he's done for Indian shooting.
You talked about Jaspal Rana and tough love is something that you've experienced as well. And I think it's sort of opened up this controversy on the back of what we've heard from Prakash Padukone, saying that, look, the players need to do their best. India has done all it can, the government has done all it can, the committees have done all they can, but the players need to do their best. And it's evoked, a reaction from both sides. One saying that he's speaking the truth, and the other saying that, look, you can't pull someone down when they're already feeling the heat. I want to understand from you, as an athlete who has competed at the Olympics, as someone who's deeply invested in the sport, deeply invested in ensuring that India does create champions. How do you read what Padukone has said, and what do you make of what he said?
Well, I think there's always a time to reassess. In a couple of days, the games will be over, and we'll all go back with whatever we go back with. And I think it is only fair to reflect on what we've done well. I think there have been many things that we've done well. I think.
For instance?
Indian performances all around may not reflect on the medals table, but if you look at the performances of the athletes, they've been competitive in spectrum of sports. We've had 7 4th place finishes so far, and it could have very well gone the other way. So the overall performances are much stronger. You had the women's table tennis team, for example, beating top-ranked teams and reaching where no table tennis team has ever reached. The shooting team, not just the 3 medals, but if you look at the overall performances, we had multiple finalists, and even the ones who didn't make the final had a very strong performance.
So what do you think has changed to ensure that we actually get a shot at the big league? And what do you think is left to be done to ensure that we get the medals? Because that's now the question.
Well, I think
that it's so far, but yet not far enough.
High performance sport is a funny business to be in. It can never be broken down into black and white. There'll always be an element of gray in. There'll be always a little bit of an element of luck. And in a competitive event like the Olympics, which is so tough, a little bit here, a little bit there makes all the difference. And I think we've made tremendous strides. I think support to athletes has been phenomenal. The government has done a great job in doing it. I think we just need to keep working on improving our systems, taking corrective measures wherever they need to be taken. But on the whole, I think sport is on the rise, and I think overall the athletes have done well. It may not reflect on the medals table as of today. Things may change in 2 days' time. But overall, I think the athletes have done very well.
Let's talk about the big heartbreak for India, and that is what happened as far as Vinesh Phogat is concerned. And you went and met her, you had a conversation with her. While the post-mortem is underway on what happened, what could have been done differently, what went wrong, what wasn't done, and so on and so forth, from an athlete's perspective, from her perspective, and someone who's dealt with adversity and someone who's hit rock bottom and sort of risen up, what do you see her mental state at this point in time?
Obviously, she's devastated. I can fully empathize with her. I can't even imagine what she would be going through. I had heartbreaks in my sports career, but what she's gone through, I can't even understand. I met her, but I didn't even know what to tell her.
What did she say to you?
No, I mean, it was just general talk on life, and how life can be unfair, and sport sometimes can be brutal.
Did she have an assessment of what went wrong?
Oh, we didn't even get into that. But I just went to
offer your support.
Support to her and to be there for her. And I think that's what she needs at the moment. And I think the country must rally behind her in these difficult times. It's a very, very, very difficult period for her. And she's gone through a tough period with all what's happened in the course of the last year or so. And to come where she's come has been incredible. It has been absolutely incredible, and India really should be very, very, very proud of her.
No, absolutely. I think every Indian should be very proud of what she's been able to achieve. But in her story, there's many stories that come up. One, I think, for the first time, the brutality of what an elite sport and competing at the Olympics means. I mean, 100 grams, that was the difference between her winning possibly the gold and being disqualified. I mean, I think for the first time, people truly understood the full force of what an athlete has to go through.
It's not an easy business here.
It's not.
It's tough, and you put your heart and soul into it, and sometimes that is the difference between winning and not winning. Disqualification or being legitimate to be able to participate. Sport is hard. It's very, very, very hard, and that's why India must look at failure very differently. I think society on its whole looks down on failure in India, and I think it's high time that society and the youth of the country become more sporting in nature. You have to, you want to go there and win, no question about that. You want to put your best foot forward and be on the podium. But there are 10,000 odd athletes here, only 300 go back with gold medals. So the people who don't, they're not losers. They've gained, they've represented your country. There are only 10,000 athletes here in the whole of, they're the 10,000 best athletes on this planet. So you can imagine how brutal the competition is. You can imagine how tough that competition is. And I think we have to just look at failure very differently. Of course, we have to learn from it. We have to learn to fail well.